Leave your mother alone.
I got to send it to my mom. Welcome back, my humans, to the Convo Couch. I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Jonny Sue is still spinning on those ones and twos. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. For all you people on the YouTube, if you haven't signed up for the ROKFIN, ROKFIN, you can sign up for free. And if you got a couple extra bucks, you can give it to us for $9.99 a month, which gives you all the premium content we have and all the premium content across the board, fam.
And also join our Patreon, because we need more Patreon members, fams. We need as many of you as we can to help us continue this independent media coverage. There are so many things we want to go out and cover. And of course, we exist because of all of you doing what you can to keep us going. We are in very tumultuous times of a lot of uncertainty. So please, anything that you can do to help us, we greatly appreciate it.
Yes, I was just looking down and sharing, guys. We need you to do the same. Like, then share. Help us out.
Subscribe.
Get the word out there. Subscribe.
Click the bell.
Got the ROKFIN, got the Patreon, got
friends.
the YouTube. Thank you to all the Super Chat contributions
this
last month. You guys have been amazing. But like Fiorella said, even though Corona's going on, we got to get back out. There's a lot of stuff going on. We want to cover Florida. Have you haven't noticed the new camera out there that Johnny's been sporting? We've been getting some great footage for you people to Thank you for helping us out, and thank you for continuing to support us, because that's what we need. We need you as individuals to put us into play. So, fam, let's talk about everything that everybody got wrong on Friday, because nobody was there except for the Convo Couch. Well, wait, Telemundo did get run off for...
Oh, yeah, was it Telemundo?
It was Univision.
Univision, okay.
No, it wasn't Univision.
Who was it?
It was just Movistar, I don't know, something.
I don't know.
Some other Spanish.
Some other Spanish channel was there, because they were... That's Protocol 101. You don't go and if you're gonna go interview somebody, you interview the people that are leading. You interview the black person. You don't go and do an interview. I mean, I get it. Yeah. Anyway, bad protocol,
they were trying to get a hold of it too as well. Yeah. But when it comes to these groups, I think some of these protests.
You have to be careful. How do you approach things?
What's what?
With you have to be respectful of what they're doing. You can't just go in as media. Like,
but still the organizers got to get better on that too as well. They have to set up a better line of communication, say really nicely. They can't, punk media too as well. Yeah. So it has to be both sides. And these people were just picking random people who weren't part of the organizers and trying to tell a story from there. Yeah. So they were trying to control the situation, say, hey, listen, if you want the real story, we have somebody who could speak to you in Spanish right over here. Right. They were like, oh, no, we got what we needed. So they were like, okay, well, if you got what you needed, you don't want to speak to the organizers. We're done talking to you.
Right.
So,
that's not exactly. That's my point. That's not how you respond. We got what we needed. Like,
but still, all in all, too, as well, there has to be a good connection between independent media going out there, making sure, you know what I'm saying, not just looking at everybody suspiciously. I'm glad that we have our badges now. Johnny created badges. I sleep with mine. But we're out there and stuff like that. But yes, that there needs to be a good communication between both parties. Go ahead, fam. I'm sorry.
So, fam, breaking news.
Breaking news.
Not breaking news, but the neoliberals and the establishment, especially a lot of the alt-right, came in trying to use our footage that we got from Beverly Hills. So what happened was that these protesters were having a peaceful protest. Now, let me reiterate and really emphasize the fact these protesters are supportive of anti-police brutality. They're marching against police brutality. But this is not directly from the organization Black Lives Matter. That is something that people need to understand, that there are many, many different kinds of people now protesting. It's not just all Black Lives Matter. In fact, this organization is called the Black Future Project, and they are the ones that have occupied City Hall in downtown LA. And so they decided to organize a protest in Beverly Hills because they wanted to wake their rich asses up, is what they said. And I think that's a wonderful idea, because now you're starting to focus on the economics of the situation. You're starting to see that it's not just the police that is an arm of the oligarchy. You're seeing you're understanding that the rich and the elites are not paying attention and that they are part of the problem. Abolish capitalism. And most of these people are very, very young, young people.
Yeah, small crowd, about 200 people plus. Pretty decent
Even
size.
less by the time it got to be night. It was like 75 or less.
Yeah, it was like that, 75 or less. I really wanted to say, yes, I like these protests better than a lot of the other protests we see. I don't think we're completely there yet, fam.
Yeah.
But there is definitely a shift in the right movement when they start talking about eat the rich and all this stuff that's going on. I was a little bit, I don't want to say disappointment. I understood the demands of the new charter they were talking about, but I thought it can be just a little bit more in depth, a little bit more inclusive, more building of a coalition. I understand what they're trying to get across, but once that, like I said, it's still not complete revolution yet for me. We didn't mention enough imperialism in this. We did mention capitalism, but I always say it all the time. Capitalism is the monetary system for imperialism. You need to secure all the land and the resources to put the capitalism into play, and then the device of racism is heavily used and throughout the whole mechanism to keep everybody separated and fighting with each other. I thought they were starting to bring people together, but it's still not the whole message that I'm waiting for. Right. But yes, definitely I want to give kudos to the man running the whole thing. Really awesome. John, what's his name again? James Butler, right? Awesome. I thought he did really, really well. Step in the right direction. Still not there yet, though. That's just my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think like we have to. I mean, it's far more than what anybody else is doing right now.
By far, I agree.
And imperialism, the way to do that is to say all the money that's going into the military-industrial complex is not going into our communities. And I think once you start with police brutality, then you realize police are also heavily militarized, and then you go on that. And this is how the progressives should be guiding these younger people, these generations, because if they get the wrong narrative, and if they just start feeling like Biden is going to be the salvation, then that's co-option. We are the ones that have to stop this from happening, to stop the whole Obama narrative from happening all over again, because that's what got us here in the first place. But I think we can do it in a way that's welcoming, and that's not, I don't want to be like the old person that looks down upon what the younger generation is doing. That's never somewhere I want to be. Johnny, did you have anything to say on this as well?
There's a bunch of stuff in this show.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Let's show this. This is a 411,000 views.
411. Ouch!
Oh, I love that.
Abolish capitalism now!
So they were marching in the streets of Beverly Hills, and they started shouting "Abolish capitalism now" in a quiet neighborhood. The reason they chose Beverly Hills, obviously, they're very wealthy. But if you live in LA, you understand the roads in the majority of LA are shit. They're cracked. It's not the prettiest of places in most areas, but Beverly Hills is the exception. Beverly Hills has the best fiber optic internet. Beverly Hills has the cleanest sidewalks. Beverly Hills has no homeless people because they push them all out of there into downtown, into nearby places. And there is that sort of, like disgusting parallel between the most richest of the rich in Beverly Hills and then people sleeping on sidewalks in the majority of the rest of LA. So that is also why they were there. And also the fact that they have a curfew in Beverly Hills that is like a quiet curfew that they don't have anywhere else. And it's basically because they're privileged and they can do that. And the cops will always be there to protect not just the white people, but rich people.
Yeah. And Beverly Hills also has the nicest police department, don't they?
Yeah, they're really nice to us.
Excuse me, guys. I know you're there, but can you mind please taking a couple steps back just so we have room right over here?
Yeah.
We don't want the gas to get in your face.
They literally said that.
I mean, they were really like, what I'm saying? And they didn't want to arrest people. They wanted them to go. They didn't want to arrest. They kept on hitting with the sound blaster, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that as well. But once again, when you have money and resources, you can train your police department a lot better than a lot of police departments not to get in trouble. Not to say that they don't racially profile people, because they do in Beverly Hills. But, I mean, once again, when you have that money to train, you can get a lot better of, every police department should have the budget that the Beverly Hills Police
Absolutely,
Department has.
And everybody should have
training.
the same internet.
Yeah.
The fact that we can't even get it in Pasadena, which has a lot of wealthy people in it, because we don't have the budget Beverly Hills has. Like, come on, it's bullshit. The rich people get so much more of what they want, and I think that was smart to go out there instead of going to like downtown all the time, where the police don't really care what you do because there's a lot of poor neighborhoods and a lot of homeless people.
Johnny, what else we got?
So I just wanted to show that Zero Hedge has Eat the Rich, says BLM invades Beverly Hills. Then the cops show up. It's not BLM. It was Black Future Project. They used this douchebag's fucking tweet, which is
which he retweeted.
He retweeted Fiorella. So it's the same exact video. Yeah, if you go to it, it says from the Convo Couch.
Could have put that on the article though, huh? What a bunch of jerks.
So then also, if you read the Zero Hedge article, it's pretty much copy and pasted from Breitbart.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And they have BLM protesters storms. Never same thing.
They stormed
BLM storm.
It's such a shame too, because they also showed the fucking flag. John, do you have that getting ripped up. I had that footage. I was like not going to put that live because I knew it would be taken and twisted.
Oh, yeah.
But to see them just put that up right away and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like
I mean, I put that up, but here's the thing.
There were no organizers ripping that flag. I just want to point that out right now. So
Yeah,
here's
none of the
thing.
organizers really
ripped the flag. It
No.
was people in the protest, and you can give them that.
And they
but-
did it. And here's the thing, guys. Like, okay, whatever. You may not agree with it, but that is protesting. Why are they protesting the American flag? Because the American flag stands for freedom, liberty, and justice for all. And right now, that is not true in this country. Some people have it and some people don't. And so right now, what we're going to be seeing is on July 4th, we're going to be seeing a lot of people protesting that holiday because us are all free until all of us are free. That's the sentiment right now. Why are we going to be happy to give some sort of value to a flag that represents values we do not represent in this country right at this very moment? And it's not just about Republicans, it's also about Democrats that aren't helping the American people too. So this is something that even if you don't agree with the degradation of the American flag, it is their right to do that if they want to. And that's the thing. We need to step away from like, okay, like I may not agree with it if you don't, but okay, but that's their right. And they twisted that narrative and they made it out. Look at these commies. Look at these tankies. These kids aren't communist yet. So I haven't radicalized them enough yet. No, but really, like they are simply aware because they were born into a system that's falling apart. In 2008, when many of them were just waking up to things, when they were children, like really, really young children, we had the bailout, the first major bailout where we gave monies to banks and corporations and bailed them out and left the people to lose their homes. We did it again in their lifetime. They're seeing the military industrial complex grow. They're seeing Donald Trump. They saw the fall of Barack Obama. They're seeing all these things and they're seeing it all fall apart, and they have the internet and they're learning things that they weren't taught in school from the internet. So of course they're going to be more radicalized than the generations before them.
Yeah. I was just going to say that, we're going to also do a show this Thursday at 2 o'clock talking about that quick $2 trillion. It's the quick $2 trillion that they kicked up the top like they always do. They sneak it in, they get it out, whatnot. So we're going to talk about that, about where that money went, fam. And that's some great stuff when it comes to the flag. Also, I want to address some people in the chat. It says capitalism is not the problem. It's corruption. We disagree. Lynn S. says bootlicker at Alex. I think we can have honest conversations about that. I don't think capitalism is the core problem. I believe it's imperialism, which is elitism, and capitalism's the device within it. In other words, you eliminate imperialism, then you eliminate capitalism, because that's what we're throwing around all around the world.
And I disagree, because I think capitalism is why imperialism exists, because the only reason you want to acquire countries and resources is because you want to do it before the next person gets it. And that is the system of capitalism. If I don't have enough to exploit everybody else, then I'm not worth enough. So that's capitalism. I think capitalism breeds imperialism, and I think the reason we have imperialism is because of capitalism. Yeah, so I disagree with you there.
Because imperialism, you can put another name on it. You can put a democratic socialism name on it. As long as you control the powers that will be, you're going to control the resources. You have to control the resources before you can do anything. Once you control the resources, you can put in any type of mechanism. Capitalism is the one of choice because we're spreading it all around the world with the IMF, but you got to secure the resources first. It's about resource extraction, and that's what true imperialism is about. It's about 420 people owning 80% of the resources.
Capitalism.
No, that's imperialism.
That's capitalism.
No, it's imperialism. You cannot have capitalism until you secure the resources. So.
Oh, I disagree with that. What do you think, Johnny?
I think it's both, and that capitalism drives greed, and the definition of imperialism is a policy or ideology of extending a country's rule over foreign nations, often by military force or by gaining political and economic control of the areas. So I think they tie together. So
I agree that they tie together. But I think the reason we have imperialism is because we want, at least the United States right now in this moment, they want to acquire as many resources as they can to impose capitalism on everybody else.
Yeah, but they also
and that is what it is.
Capitalism on top of them, which is entailed.
Can you pull up the definition? Can you pull up the definition of capitalism really quick? because people think that there's a good form of capitalism, and I just don't agree with that. Capitalism in itself, the definition is to exploit resources and acquire as much as possible than the next person. So inherently, any sort of capitalism is a problem. Now, I'm a market socialist.
Capitalism is an economic system based on the private ownership of the means of production and the operation for profit.
Right. The private ownership of means of production for profit. What socialism says, and it's not communism, and we need to have shows on the definition of these things, because obviously that's not clear. I'm not saying markets don't exist. I believe that we should have small businesses. I believe we should have that. That's not necessarily capitalism, though. I think people assume that socialism means that there's no markets, that people don't own anything. And what I'm saying is people need to own the means of production, meaning we own our water instead of having the water be privatized like it is being. We own the internet instead of the government and small private companies then dictating the internet. That's what all socialism means, is people, the workers, own the means of production. When there's a company you work for, you own a share of that. If you work for Trader Joe's, you own a share of that. And then it becomes a cooperative, because that means that you're putting in your life to work for that company. You should get some ownership of it. That's a system that I think is more realistic for Americans as the next step, because obviously, like, I have my own beliefs and I don't think we're ready for them yet. But like, I think in itself, like, market socialism is a way to get there. Democratic socialism, whatever you want to call it, for Americans, because they need to understand that that's not the same thing as communism. It's not the same thing as Marxism. And it is a joke when I hear Joe Biden be called a Marxist by the alt-right when he's a freaking Republican. Like, literally, he is a Republican on the world scale. Bernie Sanders is center-left. On the world scale. I mean, let's be real here. Let's stop calling Bernie a freaking socialist. He's not.
He's very center for us. He's not the leftist for us.
He was the compromise for a lot of us, because a lot of people that supported him, myself included, are far to the left of Bernie Sanders. And for us, when people are saying, well, why aren't you voting for Joe Biden? Because to me, Joe Biden is a Republican. I'm not going to vote for him because I don't agree ideologically with him at all.
Yeah, and somebody's super chat contribution from Aaron T says, why are the leftists calling Sagar and Crystal fascist? Because they're idiots of sorts. I mean, you can go a little maybe it's bullshitly true about everybody has a little fascism in
I don't
them
think they're
or whatever.
fascists.
I mean,
I don't know who's
they're not
calling
my
them
favorite
fascists.
and stuff like that. But these are the words, the cancel culture, which suppresses political discourse.
I agree with that.
And that's what we can't have. And I want to say thank you to Lynn for retracting her comment and apologizing in a way to bring apart good discussions with people who believe in capitalism. I think I'm more trending towards, really deep down inside, the form of socialism or communism that I pay attention to. And it's not that I really want to stamp that label on it. I think America will, if it's a true democracy, would form its own form of, like, socialism or quasi-capitalism or whatever you want to call it. It would benefit its own rules for workers, for the middle class people to grow, to make that grow.
I believe in small
there's
business.
no poor people on the streets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm all about giving out workers. So, like, my mom says, well, socialism fails. Just look at Venezuela. I say, Mom, I understand what you're saying. All right, if you don't want socialism, you have to come up with a system that gave us the same economic opportunities that you had, Mom, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Because when Pop-Pops, my grandfather, was able to sweep the docks, buy a house, go away on vacation, put his kids to college, retire, and die peacefully from sweeping the docks 40, 50 years ago, that same type of job should pay the same way it does today. But if you're sweeping the docks nowadays, you probably live on the street, and that's the biggest difference. So no matter any way you want to face it, what you want to call it, we have to find a solution to this problem where we can grow the middle class, you know what I'm saying, and not have our civil liberties taken away from us. You know, there's so many things we have to do. We have to find solutions. So if you want to say that one system doesn't exist, well, what's the solution? Let's come up with the
I don't think
solution.
any one ideology is the solution. And
it's not.
Just to go back to the crystal ball and Sager thing. I don't always agree with them. I don't think they're independent media at all. A lot of people call them that. They're not independent. They're the Hill. They're mainstream media. They're far better mainstream media than the rest of the mainstream media. I think trying to push people to vote for Joe Biden is a mistake. But to say they're fascist is a very, like, you have to have, like, proof that these people are fascists. I think sometimes the left gets carried away with their terminology and throws words out, and then it just causes everybody to
it's establishment
tactic. Yeah, and I'm not, like I
It's
said,
an
I'm not a
establishment
huge fan, unlike a lot of people are, because I feel like it's just commentary. It doesn't really go in depth to the situation, but to call people fascists who are not, I think it's a little over the.
And that's the whole thing. It's like, you know, what are we really seriously concerned about? Getting the way the everyday people, the way that we talk to each other, the way they talk, the way we treat each other. Is that really the big issue? I know there's going to be some issues right there, but isn't the big issue is coming together and understanding who our common enemy is and taking that son of a bitch down so we could really, or the son of a bitches, so we could really build a path together and a harmonious, beautiful earth and save Mother Earth? Because they're polluting the water, they're polluting the air, they're stealing us. All the resources are going in the hands of a couple individuals. It's world domination. You think the stormtroopers just want to take care of the situation over here in the United States? No, it's global dominance. The fucking police department is the same arm. I'm sorry if you don't feel this way, as the imperialists out there conquering all these other countries.
Because they're like here, and somebody is above them directing them here. So what we have to look at is the core issue of the problem, and not just that. That's one layer of it. We have to go to the other layers. And so I fervently believe that we need to support small businesses. I think we need to do that, and we're not doing that. That's why this system is falling apart. And by the way, going back to what Pasta said about his being able to support people on a janitor salary, that's the thing. We had socialism in this country. We've had it. People don't like to call it that, but that's what it was under FDR. That was socialism. You have the Social Security, you have libraries, you have public schools. All of that is considered socialist. Just so everybody knows, you may not like the word, but kids nowadays, the young people, they have zero problem saying, oh, I'm a democratic socialist. They have zero problem saying, I'm a socialist. Why? Because they don't have that fear from the neo-McCarthyist era, where we maligned and vilified Russians and everybody else, and we're doing it again, which is what we're going to talk about later.
We're going to talk about this bullshit attack.
But it's all connected.
How they're trying to go after Donald Trump for this bullshit thing. We're going to get to that after. Mom, you're texting me right now. I love you more than you know. It's conversation for the show, because a lot of people do feel that way.
My dad is not.
They're anti-socialism.
My dad does not. He believes in capitalism, and we argue about it all the time.
Listen, all I'm trying to say is, on the chat, in person, let's open up the conversations. Let's discuss it. Let's not demonize everybody on the other side or whatever if they have a different opinion than you. Let's talk these things out. We need to have conversation. We need to get away from the cancel culture. Johnny, what else you got? I'm sorry. Love you, Mom.
Basically, here's all the articles that reference the protest.
Everybody using our stuff.
Oh yeah, so everybody's using our stuff and not giving us credit. That's like awful, because it's funny, because a lot of them are right wingers. Not all of them. Some of them were leftists too. And it's like, dude, just give us credit. That's all we care. Especially Breitbart, by the way, like using it to frame it to their own narrative.
Los Angeles Daily News, they did the same thing. I think it's because you cussed you said holy shit in your tweet, fam. So maybe we don't.
That's why, fam.
I think maybe that.
Who knows?
It doesn't matter. It says right there, I'm a reporter, I'm this and that. Like, you all, as a journalist, you always have to give credit.
I know, but they'll be stupid like that.
This is just like, what was the outlet, the Huffington Post, talking about Nico and saying, oh, reporters and whatnot. They didn't even mention our name. They don't want us getting out there. They know we're growing. They're trying to suppress us.
Well, then here's what irritates me the most. If you're going to try to frame this to fit your own narrative, whatever that narrative is, even if I agree with it, go to the protest and cover them. Do the work, and then you can have an opinion on it. Not out there on the ground doing the work, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take your opinion as valid, because you're not really, and not only that, you're not on the ground doing the work, and then you're trying to push your own agenda. Because it's one thing, like, sure, we can like look at somebody's footage from New York and see what's going on there, and we give them credit. We say, okay, they said this, okay, we'll see what happens, blah, blah, blah. But if you're going to try to push a narrative and you're not even there to really know what actually happened, then that's false reporting. That's false misrepresentation. That's all doing all the wrong things.
And they were being very calm. They were being very peaceful. They kept on mentioning it. They kept on, for the safety of people there.
This is a non-violent movement. This is peaceful.
And don't get me wrong. And at the same token, I guess the Beverly Hills Police Department tried to be as peaceful as they can. They kept on saying, you can turn around and walk away.
They did do that. Yeah.
You could turn around, walk away, and head towards Santa Monica. We won't arrest you.
Yeah, but apparently a week ago, when everything blew up on the 30th, I think it was when they were, I guess a month ago. It was rubber bullets and smoke grenades. So let's take a look at some of that footage.
True Rebel Network?
Yeah, this is True Rebel Network.
It's already released?
Yeah. So basically, I'm going to just skip to the... see, I made it easy here for you. Rules of the protest.
Wow, Johnny, that's amazing work. Go check out True Rebel Network, guys.
No lasers, there's absolutely nothing violent. We are warriors of love. We are warriors of peace. That is our armor. That is our ammo. Our voices is our ammo. Our story is our ammo. Our ancestors are our ammo. We are nonviolent. We are nonviolent. The police are violent. Last time we came here, Beverly Hills decided to blow us up. 10 people shot. One person in a seizure. That's why we're prepared like this. We've been drilling for days, studying Paris and Hong Kong protests. If people get rowdy, the cops stay behind people in a white hat and gloves. We are here to protect you all. We are peace police, not even police. We are peace workers. We are community peace militia, I guess you could say. We're here to protect you because the system is not. We're here to have you be able to safely get your voice heard because the system is not. No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No races! No peace!
I mean, I 100%.
Awesome.
I think it's awesome.
Awesome.
This is what Milwaukee's doing. So if you guys haven't been paying attention to what's going on in Milwaukee, Minneapolis, they've started to form little kind of community policing because their communities aren't represented in the police. So they're trying to like have their own medics, their own police, their own people like to be there to help with water bottles, whatever. We're starting to see that in LA. And these people are protesting every single day. I'm telling you, it's every single day. And somebody commented on the video, I thought the protests were done. They haven't happened in Texas and blah, blah, blah. And here's the thing. They're happening. Mainstream media isn't reporting and they're not getting the national attention. So some people think they're not happening and they want people to stop protesting. Because they wanted the trend to happen and to push Biden. And that's it. And to push this idea that the protesters were violent. So what you're going to hear in the mainstream media is the toppling of the statues, but you're not hearing these people start forming more organized type of counter protests that aren't just tackling police brutality. They're also starting to tackle economics. So that's what they're not there to report. And when they do take the story and they twist it, they say, oh, these protesters are look, they're going to come after your homes. They're going to go after your This is what happens when you let these commies, these leftists win. This is what Joe Biden's people are doing. It is laughable. Joe Biden, I wish Joe Biden would end.
Well, let me tell you something. The same thing they're doing over here they did in France for a long time. A lot of people thought that the yellow vest had ended a long time ago. No, they haven't. They're still going on.
Yep.
Coronavirus might have calmed it down for a little bit, but as soon as they got a little peak hole, they went right back out into the streets, and they're still out there marching against austerity, against Macron. They're really about the economics, and we're starting to get there too, and that's what I like to see. Yes, there's some cultural issues we need to address, but the financial issues will really bring everybody together because everybody's starving in this country. And that's the movement we need to continue to move on to tackle, I think. We have to get a little bit more Fred Hampton here, but we're getting there, and I liked it. I like the fact that this gentleman ran this rally in Beverly Hills. That says something strong rather than just going in downtown L.A., and marching around a bunch of businesses that are closed, most of them anyways, and homeless people. But you're going into the heart of the beast, the belly. You know what I'm saying?
We're going to show a couple more segments of this video. So here's when the march begins.
Streets of Beverly Hills. You can see us behind. They got the van out there. This is wild. This is crazy. This is not the everyday same march. This is beautiful. Check them out. They got demands and they want them kept. This is not your average protest. They said they ain't going home, that they're staying here. Check it out. Oh, sorry.
I think you should point out too, Johnny, that's on the streets. That's on Santa Monica Boulevard. That ain't a side street. That's Santa Monica Boulevard. Beverly Hills shut down.
And look at their hard hats, and they have so what they've been doing is they've been watching a lot of how other protests have been going, not just China, Hong Kong, but also the yellow vest. They've been watching, they've been studying how they're doing it. They are getting shields. They're getting the shields. If you want to help them, they have the hard hats. They are using whatever they can to supply themselves to actually resist the police coming in. They don't believe the curfew is fair. They don't just want to go home when they're told. That was the difference between Black Lives Matter and them. They said that Black Lives Matter, James Butler specifically said Black Lives Matter, they go home right at that
clock.
They go
and
they
leave.
go
James
and they
Butler
leave.
called them bootlickers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you know, I don't necessarily agree with that, but what I think is what his mechanisms, his tactics differ. He wants to actually oppose the system and not just try to play within it and reform it. He wants to do like a real opposition. And so I think that's what more, I mean, personally, that's more of the lines that I think is needed. But I think you have to be very careful with that because they are going to malign you and they are going to call you these militant people, you know? Super
Chat contribution from Oz LaFaze. Support the Convo Couch and independent media. We are the press. Thank you very much, Oz. And my Pat Sajak. No, my, what's his name? Ooh, sorry, Alex Trebek voice. Somebody says, please don't align yourself with the Hong Kong. Rich kids getting beat up by old people is not what you want to align with. Now, let me make a statement about this. They're not aligning with the people protesting from Hong Kong.
No.
They're aligning with the CIA tactics, their playbook. Remember, the NED has funded these protests in Hong Kong, which is a bad thing. We don't want the NED in anything because they are the mechanism for regime change. If you don't know about that, you should because you're paying for it with your tax dollars. And that's for us to go through the back door with regime change and fund the NED, the National Endowment for Democracy. However, the tactics in which they are using, which they inform the protesters, is important. So we're stealing that playbook and using the tactics from the CIA against them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, John? So we understand what's going on in this channel more than anything when it comes to Hong Kong and the NED, but it's the tactics that we're using.
And that's something that I want to make clear, too, to the protesters. I would like to have more conversations like about foreign policy, because once there's an understanding of foreign policy, you take this to the next level as well, because then you tie it to all of the economics and how that works.
Yep. Summer of 1970. Thank you for the Super Chat contribution. Says, good job, guys. We need those Super Chat contributions to get us to Seattle. We got to get up there.
Thank you, guys.
We love you. Johnny.
Shut shit down! We shut shit down! Who shut shit down? We shut shit down! Who shut shit down? We shut shit down! They uncomfortable! They want to be with themselves! But we all
Yeah, so there wasn't very many police at that time. It was around like 8:15. They're just kind of monitoring from a distance and redirecting traffic so the protest can continue marching, actually. So then I'm going to skip to James Butler's speech.
If we don't cut it, shut it down! If we don't cut it, shut it down! If we don't cut it, shut it down! Capitalism! A disease of our nation! They went to Africa. They saw riches, oil, gold, silver,
I mean, I agree.
love that.
I mean, that's what I believe as well. I believe capitalism is a disease. I believe that. I think imperialism and capitalism are both imperialism at the bigger spectrum is what's driving our conflicts. But I think it's that need, that want to acquire and exploit and possess, that greed is what drives American imperialism. It's what's driven American imperialism for the longest time. And he's talking about how this nation was built on the backs of slaves and Native Americans. And that's something people don't like to talk about because it's just, like nobody wants to talk about what your ancestors did, but that's what happened. And we have to come to terms with it so we can move on. And he's right. We are fighting for the same things we have asked for years ago. We watched Malcolm X. Johnny was there. What did you see, Johnny? They were you could take those same words and those same chants and apply them to right now. We're still seeing people get shot by the police and killed by the police all the time.
Exactly.
It could apply right now as it did 60 years ago. It makes you feel like, what's the point? It's so insurmountable. We've been fighting for these things forever and ever and ever. How do we make change?
Yeah. And I ordered 2 books yesterday. The autobiography of Malcolm X, because I was told by a friend that it's an amazing autobiography who doesn't like to read autobiographies, but he says it's a good one, so we're going to get that one in. And the other one is Dr. Cornel West's book about the fight to end imperialism. So we will have more of these conversations and talk about these things. I think it's an intriguing subject as long as we're talking about them, not demonizing anybody. That's the important thing. And I encourage everybody out there who might feel very, very harsh towards people on the right that they don't like, to not immediately brand them as racist, but talk to them. And, you might have to talk to people who are racist, but just talk to them. Convince them, tell them they are wrong, explain to them why they are wrong. Everything leads back to imperialism and capitalism and control. You cannot deny that a small group of people controls all the resources and everybody around this planet is really taking it. You know what I'm saying? Some races might take it harder than others, but we've had a lot of blood spill. We talked about World War II the other day, right? How many people were lost in Russia? 27 million people were lost in Russia.
25 million. Yeah.
25 million, you know what I'm saying? And it's just disgusting. We lost 1 million people and stuff. But just think about how much blood has been spilled by all human beings on this planet. And it's because a group of people are pulling the strings. We need to recognize who the common enemy is and take them down. John, do you have anything before I read the super chat?
No, go ahead.
Get buckets. Thank you for the super chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. We love you humans out there. The societal contract is broken, fam. We need to be protecting each other and never let them take away peaceful protest illegally. They aren't playing games. Neither can we. Wilmington, 1898. Film everything. Well, I don't know if you can film everything in 1898, but you can do it now. Film everything. And if you're going to use the Convo Couch's footage, you better give us either money or credit. Sorry. Right, Bart?
So here's more footage.
Jesus Christ.
No, all those people wearing the green hats are NLG, National Lawyers Guild.
Yep.
Let me skip.
They're out there.
Skip a little bit more. Let's see. What am I?
Police arrive. No.
The really impactful thing here.
Your mother, your father, your loved one, your guardian.
You like? Yeah.
This is really impactful. So here's some context. Basically, they had the group out on the street on Santa Monica Boulevard, and then he had one group on one side, and then he asked people to cross the line to the other side if this situation applied to you. So listen to this.
Your mother, your father, your loved one, your guardian has ever had to sit down and have a conversation with you about you're going to be treated different. I was always told, James, if you get mad, you cannot hit Billy or Sarah. If you have one of those conversations with your parents growing up, cross the line. Look in your group. Look in ours. Look at your skin. Look at ours. This ain't a lie. This is real life. It starts in the home. Our parents have to sit us down when we're 3, 4 years old and let us know when we start going to school we will be treated differently just because the color of our skin to this day. I had this conversation with my nephew recently. He just turned 16 years old. This is a problem that we need to fix. Everybody cross the line.
So that was really powerful because basically what he did was he showed that people who are darker skinned have this conversation that you're going to be treated differently with your parents, and especially our black American brothers and sisters. You can see that they had those conversations, and white people are not having those conversations.
Yeah,
because they're not going to be treated differently.
No. And that's something that you can't ignore. I mean, you know, we can talk about how
it's interesting because it's literally that whole group. They were all darker skinned. They were all brown or black.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, you've experienced racism here in California.
Exactly.
So I mean, you know, and that's the thing. It's stupid things like that I wish we didn't have to worry about. I wish we could skip and tackle the oligarchs, but obviously we still need to worry about that because some people are fucking racist and there's no two ways about it. They just are, and they have to change their point of view. And it starts by pointing it out and having these conversations and sitting down and saying, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I am not personally racist. This is not an attack, by the way, on all white people. People don't have to take it personally. Like, no, you know, I'm not, obviously you're not racist. Like, I'm not saying every white person is. Some people do believe that. Some people do believe that it's inherent. And I do believe to a degree it is inherent in to a certain degree to certain generations, because that's how it's been there for so many years, and people just don't realize it sometimes. You know, you always have to make yourself self-aware, but like nobody's saying that you personally are racist. It's just some people are, and some people are suffering as a result of this thing we haven't dealt with. We haven't dealt with it enough, you know?
Next video.
So that's basically all of it. I mean, they come and arrest them. You guys can check out the rest of that video on True Rebel Network. We just hit 200 subscribers. Woo!
Nice.
Did we really? Hey!
But 114 views. I didn't like this one comment. It says the police should just use live rounds on them and set an example.
Oh, wow.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Like, what is wrong? Like, why is the right trying to, like, this person's definitely a right winger. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Why?
I don't think that person represents all right wingers.
No, but I've been seeing that a lot. Like, I go on live feeds of in Seattle and shit. They're like, go smack that megaphone out of the protester's hand, and all these right wingers.
Do you think there are redeemable
like,
qualities to people who say things like that, though?
No, not that person, but I don't think that's a person that is a real representation of the right. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I'm saying, saying.
Well, I just want. What is a representation of the right then? What is?
Just because somebody is conservative, they have all.
There's conservative. There's like the alt-right.
No,
though.
Conservative people are on the right. A lot of people have said that, like, I wish you would call Breitbart a conservative paper instead of alt-right. Now, I'm not going to sit there and argue for or against them and stuff like that, but there are a lot of people on the right who are just, you know, peaceful. There's a lot of libertarian people who don't want invasion, who don't want regime change. Listen, this is a disgusting tactic, and whether this person's on the right or the left, we're going to talk right or left. The left right now, as we get to the story, is pushing for sanctions. They're pushing for sanctions all over the place.
That's not the left.
Establishment left is.
That's the Democrats are centrist.
I know that you want to do that and separate that, but in mainstream media and everybody else, the mentality is that the establishment is on the left. We can sit here and say it's not the true left, but
it's not though. But we have to fix that narrative, because what a lot of people think as the left are fucking Republicans. They're establishment Democrats.
We know that because we're a little bit more nuanced, but most people consider the Democrats to be the left in
right,
the
but
state. So
they're not.
So, you know what I'm saying? And that group is pushing. And there's people who consider themselves progressives that are okay with sanctions and want Putin to have sanctions, whatnot, and you know what I'm saying? And want sanctions on Venezuela.
Right, and that's what I'm
want
saying.
sanctions everywhere. Who's
progressive.
okay with Yemen.
Yeah, they're just not progressive.
They're not
and they're
progressive.
Not
they
educated.
say they are and stuff.
Yeah.
This person's not, you know, just necessarily conservative. He might say
I just have a lot of trouble when it, like, I'm willing to talk to people that I disagree with, but I have a hard time finding redemption in people who think that like Black Lives Matter less, who are anti-immigrant. So to me, if you have those beliefs, if you are anti-immigrant, I'm not going to worry as much about how you're being vilified, because I feel like you have those beliefs. You may not necessarily talk about them publicly. You may not necessarily like push it, but if you have those beliefs, to me, that is a problem. Like I don't think it's not a problem. It's going to be hard for people to talk about war and foreign policy when these people think you're less than they are. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if people think like I'm less of a person, how the fuck do you want me to talk about foreign policy with them?
Yeah, I understand that. But when you say, you know, the right or you say the left, we're lumping people into those categories. And we could, you know what I'm saying?
I don't think the left is a monolith, less than the right is, but I think there are certain things that make people conservative that you are just morally, you're not going to agree with.
We don't agree with it and stuff. When a lot of people on the right, they just believe in immigration control is what they call it. A lot of people on the left are trying to be compassionate about people who are stuck here, whatnot, who came here and stuff like that. And nobody's talking about the cause. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. That's the solutions we get. And then we start demonizing right and left people and stuff.
I don't think, I think people demonize people, but I mean, I think there is a right to demonize people who literally think people are less human than others.
Well, you're saying it's less human. Some people will say, I'm not less human. I just believe in immigration control. And they have it in their mind, the concept that if they take care of an immigrant from another country, that they're a veteran is losing out. And that's wrong.
Right. And the retort is, we stole this land from Native Americans and built it on the backs of slaves. So what do you say to that then? Like, to me, then it's your argument is moot, because this doesn't belong to you. It never did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can go with that argument as long as you want, but people are going to say, what can I do for generations past that did those things?
Start accepting it and talking about it instead of running away from it.
Nobody's running away from it. I think the fact is that they're trying to blame everybody there rather than the people, once again, who made these decisions, the elites who are in control of these decisions.
Perpetuating the system is being a part of it, though.
I don't know what you're saying. Who's perpetuating that system?
If you're not speaking against it, if you're just accepting it,
speaking against us, does it really change anything?
Absolutely.
As much? Okay, where has it changed? Where has it not worked? We're speaking about the problems with them amongst the everyday average people of each other, rather than the people who set the rules, rather than the freedoms that the people who dole them out. That is the problem here. Nobody's talking about the people who are in control of making these rules, prospering from these rules.
I think a lot of people
Instead,
are
we
talking
worry about the
about
little
it.
bit differences.
It's not a little bit differences. People are being shot and murdered.
What protest have we gone out to where people are naming those people?
You're not going to get there when you say that their cause isn't important. When you make them
Nobody's saying that their cause isn't important. We're not saying the most important cause is recognizing who our common enemy is. And the people who talked about recognizing our common enemy, they're all dead. They were all killed once they started building those rainbow coalitions.
Sure.
Doesn't that tell you something?
But they were also killed by white supremacy. Right?
It's a twisted thing. Listen, a white supremacist might be, he didn't kill that person because he was trying to enforce white supremacy. White supremacy was the tool to keep people divided and get away with it.
But he still did it.
It's about power. It's about control.
But they still did it.
Yeah, but it's not. But you're saying that because it was white supremacy was the number one cause. No,
I never said it was the number one cause. But I'm saying if you're not fighting it, you have to fight both. You can't just fight one and skip this part.
We are only fighting one. That's the problem. We're not fighting about the other thing because only 12% of the people
It doesn't work like that, though. You can't just go here and not go here and then go here.
Well, listen, we've been going here and we haven't gotten any progress.
We haven't fully been going there.
Yeah, we have. We're going the opposite way. Everything has changed. They're getting more and more power. They're consuming more and more of their power. More people are becoming homeless. More people are being thrown in jail. More of the world is being bombed. If we don't recognize the people who are doing that, and we have, our differences, and we get caught up in our differences, like George Carlin says, then we'll never ever get rid of the people who are controlling us and really pulling the strings.
People getting shot aren't differences, though. people being killed for the color of their skin aren't differences. They're like people are
really. How many
being
people in Yemen did we
targeted.
kill the other day? Did we kill a lot more people that were killed in the streets of the United States?
That doesn't make this okay, though.
No, but American exceptionalism spreads to everybody in the United
It
States.
should.
They think they think that what happens in the state is different than what happens overseas, and it's not. When we've just bombed in Afghanistan, 25 people are killed. The United States bomb.
Sure.
17 of them are children.
You're
can't
not going to
ignore
get
one
these
without
people
the
to
other.
pay attention to that when you're
Well-
not paying attention to what's happening right in front of them.
We are paying attention to
Well,
what's
I mean,
happening right
we
in front
are,
of us.
but not
We're ignoring
everybody
what's
is.
going on. No,
Or no.
everybody's ignoring what's going on overseas. If you go out to that protest
Again,
yesterday, you
they're not
ask
gonna
them how-
know.
Well, that's a problem.
But you're like, that's a problem, but you're never going to get them to listen to that if they don't feel like they're being listened to at home. That's
Okay.
my point.
That's why I'm saying we have a lack of solutionists. We have a lack of Fred Hamptons. The people who started getting it and understanding it, those were the people who were killed. And that's why I'm saying that I'm a little disappointed in some of these protests because they're not going the full way they need to go. And that's all I'm saying.
Do you have anything to say?
Everybody sucks.
A real debate. Love it. Somebody says.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're debating over stupid shit because you guys agree on basically everything.
No, we
but
agree.
It's like
No, I agree, and I love the conversation. Trust me, I don't discredit anything, and I never want to seem like I'm not coming off compassionate and stuff like that. But my personal opinion is, and people can differ like this, is that we are missing the big picture. You know what I'm saying? When Brett called me the other day, he's like, listen, in New York, when I worked for Occupy, we would identify the 1%, where they lived exactly, specific to the T, how they made their money off global extraction, and that's the way we had them. You know what I'm saying? That's what needs to happen. We have to get specific of who is pulling the strings. People don't even know their names. People don't even know who they are. They don't know who the IMF is.
They're not going to care to know that if they don't feel like they're being heard. That's just the
So
bottom
you're
line.
saying that the sentiment is like, you got to hear our stuff our way, otherwise
It's
we're
not
not going to pay
our
attention
way.
to the
They're
whole
being
way.
targeted.
So are Yemenis babies. So are Afghani
I
children.
get it. They're not going to
so
pay
are half
attention
the
to
fucking
this
country.
when you're not
so
paying
are
attention to
Africans in
this.
Africa.
this is such a stupid argument because it's like fucking
I just comes off like
it's tough.
it's a dumb argument because it's like
if you're comfortable
guys are
saying that
basically-
in front of a Black Lives Matter protest, you should have said that.
No, it's
it's like you guys are debating
If
like
you're not saying anything wrong, then you should say that in front of those protesters.
okay. And you should say that into a mother who lost her child that it's not important. Then too.
I never said it wasn't important.
Well, but
I'm
it's
saying
the
you
same
have to
parallel
hear.
you're giving me.
No,
No,
it's not the same thing.
How is it not?
because
If I
you're
go and say
bringing in, so you got to listen to what they're saying first, and then eventually build a communication to be able to open the line to discuss also the next thing, which is imperialism, because these people do not pay attention to politics, right? The people that are protesting now, they don't pay attention
They're
to
young.
politics. And most people who are out in the world, Americans, they don't really pay attention to politics because they're all working a lot.
Consumed.
They're all working one or two jobs or anything like that. So really, it's just an education campaign, and we have to do it the right way. So basically, what you guys are just arguing about is the right way to do it, and I think it's dumb because it's both. It's both. Of course, Paso, you got to talk about imperialism and stuff, but I think you need to listen first to what these protesters are saying, build a relationship, and then discuss how that open their eyes like that. And I think that's how we see real change into the world.
All right, that's a good point of view and stuff like that. I disagree a little bit, whatnot, because I think there's a bunch of group of people who are not going out to these protests because it's, we're missing some of the imperialism
because they're
points.
uncomfortable because they feel it like it's about them, and that's not what it's about. And I think there's a lot of people that are inherently racist that don't want to admit that they are, and they're not going to these protests because it makes them uncomfortable when Black people stand on a mic and talk about what happened 200 years ago. I think that's also a problem. So
I hear you. I'm disagreeing with you guys a
Okay.
little bit. I'm agreeing to disagree. But let's get on to the next part.
right.
So
I wanted to know your strategy, but I'm not sure what your strategy is.
I don't know what the strategy is because nothing's really working. Nothing has worked. Like I said, and the time I've been alive on this planet, we're going friggin' backwards. We are going friggin' backwards. And there's more and more people ending up in the street. There's more people being bombed every day. I don't know what the solution is and stuff like that, but I just am saying that I think that these particular protests, they are very, and this one in particular, I love the message. It's moving forward. I'm just saying we're not there yet. I don't feel the Fred Hampton-ness yet, okay? I'm not there yet. So that's just my personal
Fred Hampton,
opinion.
by the way, wasn't Fred Hampton right away. He was fighting for black issues too. So was Malcolm X. They didn't forget about that and just say that. They understood that we need to fight the oligarchy. But yes, brown and black people are being directed, are being maligned and killed the most. They did understand that. They didn't have a problem with that. They wanted to build coalitions outside of it, though. Yeah, and that's what we
Fred
need
Hampton
to go to.
Died at 21. He picked up the work from Malcolm X, and we talked about this. Malcolm X was killed when he came back from his pilgrimage. When he when he changed his evolution, you know what I'm saying, from what he once was. That's when they killed his ass, because it was like, you're not building coalitions. A rainbow coalition is going to really take over this, will really get the oligarchs in trouble. You want them to sweat? When we completely come together, that's when we come together, and that's when they start to sweat. And like I said, it remains to be seen. So, and like I tell you, we'll be out here covering these protests, and we'll see what goes on. So, Johnny, right. What else? Anything else from the videos or
nope?
Okay, so
follow True Rebel Network.
So this one really is going to hurt, because we're going to cry. Yeah. This is disgusting.
Right. So these are the last moments of Elijah McClain's life.
For 2019 in Aurora, Colorado, a security camera picks up 23-year-old Elijah McClain at this Shell gas station buying soft drinks and wearing a face mask. His family lawyer told NBC News he was in the habit of wearing this mask. After paying for his items, he turns around and bows to the man behind him in line. His family told NBC News this was his signature gratitude bow. At 10:30 p.m., a man calls 911.
Let me see, he has a mask on. He looks sketchy. He might be a good person or a bad person.
Yeah.
So, mask on.
Okay. Were any weapons involved or mentioned?
No.
Okay, what color is the mask, or what does it look like?
Black.
Black mask?
He's like a...
Is it like a ski mask, or what type of mask is it?
Yeah, like a ski mask.
Elijah McClain is walking home from a nearby Shell gas station. He's holding a plastic bag with his purchases. At 10:43 p.m., Aurora police officer Nathan Woodyard spots McClain.
Do me a favor, stop right there. Hey, stop right there. Stop. 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 I have a right to stop you because you're being suspicious.
9 seconds after exiting his vehicle, the officer initiates physical contact.
Stop tensing up, dude.
10:44 p.m. Officer Jason Rosenblatt and Officer Randy Rodema are now also on the scene and surround McClain.
No, I am an introvert. Please respect the boundaries that I am speaking.
Stop tensing up. Stop. Relax.
Stop. I'm going home.
Relax, or I'm going to have to change this situation. Stop.
Leave me alone.
Stop.
Can you please? No, can you leave me alone?
No, we're gonna.
First off, you guys started to arrest me, and I was stopping my music to listen. Now let go.
The situation escalates when the officers try to move McClain onto the grass. Officer Woodyard's body cam is knocked to the ground.
You guys.
Officer Rodema says this.
Just grab your gun, dude.
It's unclear from the body cameras whether or not McClain reached for an officer's weapon. All three officers wrestle McClain to the ground.
Give us more. Give us some more units. We're fighting them.
At this moment, one of the officers uses a carotid control hold on McClain, a tactic that involves an officer placing his arm around a subject's neck, applying pressure, and restricting blood to the brain via the carotid arteries. Responding officers later told an Aurora police investigator that McClain briefly went unconscious, and the officers released the hold. At 10:46 p.m., just over 2 minutes after the first officer made contact with him, McClain is pinned to the ground and says this.
Fighting us on the ground. It's Elijah McClain.
We had to use carotid.
That's what I was doing. I was just going home. I'm an introvert and I'm different.
Did he come out? He's out. Was he out?
I heard some snoring.
He wasn't completely. He didn't lose consciousness.
Yeah. I'm just different.
He tried to grab my gun.
That's all. That's all I was doing.
It was actually Rosenblatt.
I'm so
He
sorry.
for your gun, dude.
I have no gun.
That's where I tried carotid.
I don't do that stuff. I don't do any
Two
fighting.
18 other units that are not here.
Why?
They can slow it down a little bit.
I don't do guns. I don't even kill flies.
We got him to fake.
I don't eat meat.
Do we have anything other than him being suspicious?
No. People.
No. I mean, I tried
to
stop
him.
Start walking away. Yeah, Cruiser 26, we need to slow everybody down.
Responding officers later tell an investigator that McClain was actively resisting and fighting the officers' attempts to place him into handcuffs.
What I was trying to do
I tried.
was become better.
We started it because he reached for Rosie's gun.
Yeah.
When we had him on the wall. All right.
At 10:49 p.m., McClain throws up a first time.
Stop.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to do that. I think I can't breathe correctly because.
Over the next 4 minutes, McClain gets sick a few more times. Officers are also heard multiple times asking him to stop fighting.
Rolling this way, dude?
Yeah.
Are you able to?
My legs locking up.
There you go. Just like that.
You're good.
Don't get up, dude. It's not going to be good for you. I'm telling you right now.
If you keep messing around, I'm going to bring my dog out. He's going to dog bite you. You understand me?
At 10:54 p.m., McClain is still on the ground, and an officer says this.
So when the ambulance gets here, we're going to go ahead and give him some ketamine.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Perfect.
Let's give that a couple of minutes and then we'll put him on.
Whatever he's on, he has incredible strength.
Yeah, crazy strength. I had him in
10:59 p.m., a fire medic administers 500 milligrams of ketamine to McClain in an attempt to sedate him. 2 to 3 minutes later, he is loaded onto an ambulance. And at 11:07 p.m., just over 20 minutes after the first officer made contact, responding officers are told McClain does not have a pulse.
He just cored. Are you serious? Yeah. Okay. So, sit tight.
McClain was resuscitated at the scene and taken to the hospital where he would be declared brain dead 3 days later. The coroner concluded last November that a combination of physical exertion and a narrow left coronary artery contributed to McClain's death, but could not determine the cause of his death. He added that it could have been either an accidental death caused by a reaction to the ketamine, a natural death, or a death linked to the carotid control hold used by officers.
Okay.
Oh God, I can't. This is really just. How is it legal for them to seduce him with ketamine?
To put a substance into his fucking body.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's see this. Aurora, Colorado police killed Elijah McClain while he was walking home. Peacefully arrested James Egan Holmes after he shot and killed 12 people and wounded over 50.
Yeah,
you see the difference there.
Yeah. I mean, they had no right to hold him, no right to do anything.
It isn't rocket science. It's common sense. Just open up your eyes. Play dumb if you want. The time is now. We demand justice. I want to show this artwork.
Pictures of him too.
I got this artwork. It's everything he said there. I can't breathe. I have my ID right here. My name is Elijah McClain. That's my house. I was just going home. I'm an introvert. I'm just different. He played violin.
I can't. I'm like, he was fucking autistic, damn it. He was fucking autistic.
The system protect them too, as well. It pretty much found the cops that did this, the system that protects the police officers, which...
God damn it.
Which, like I said... The system that protected him.
He played violin for shelter cats so they wouldn't feel lonely. He worked on it as a massage therapist, bringing relief and healing to people. He was a vegetarian who wouldn't hurt a fly. By the time he was a teenager, he taught himself to play violin and guitar. He often bowed to others as a sign of gratitude, as you saw in the video. Those were his last words.
I can't breathe.
I'm an introvert. I'm just different. That's all. I'm so sorry.
I have my ID right
no gun.
here.
I don't judge people who do eat meat. Forgive me. All I was trying to do was become better. I will do it. I will do anything. Sacrifice my identity. I'll do it. You all are phenomenal. You're beautiful, and I love you. Try to forgive me. I'm a mood Gemini. I'm sorry. Ow, that really hurt. You're all very strong. Teamwork makes the dream work. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to do that. I just can't breathe correctly.
Happy birthday! Happy late
Happy super late birthday.
Nice. Wait, really?
No, really?
I was like, no way, this is a luau party. There you go. Wow.
Wow. I know autistic people. You don't get close to them like that. You don't startle them like that. He was autistic. And they fucking did this to him.
He played cats, violins for cats.
This is why I get, like, you cannot tell me that there's not a fucking racial problem here. There is. And, like, these fucking people escorted serial killers. They let these serial killers have their moment, sit them down. Some of them were taken to fucking Burger King, given a meal. You kill this kid who is obviously, he's obviously different. He obviously is on the spectrum. This is why cops cannot be social workers. This is why they're not trained for this. They are not trained. How the fuck do you give somebody ketamine? How is that legal? That alone should absolutely drive these people to be entirely go to jail. You're not a freaking doctor to give this kid something that you don't know is gonna kill him. I just can't. Like, this is abuse. I mean, this kid is somebody on the spectrum. He told them, he was letting them know that he was different.
I have my ID right here. You know, I have my ID right here.
Yeah.
Johnny, I think I sent the picture of the police officers. There's a phone number on there because I believed he was also. It's on the. I put it on the in the file. It's under the right there, pictures. That one. I think it has the. There it is. The next picture over. If you go over one. Next one, Breonna Taylor. Next one. We have all the names. There they are. Okay. Wanted for the people. The torture and murder of Elijah McClain. Randy Rodema. Nathan Woodyard. Jason Rosenblatt. And I have no problem saying your name. If you have any information or opinions concerning why these thugs are still free, please tag the Governor Paulus at 303-866-2471 at Gov of Colorado, OC, Jared Polis, Dave, DA Dave Young. His number is 303-659-7720. The reward is justice. Instagram at Thugs Wanted. These 3 police officers need to be fired. They need to be charged. I don't know if the system who allows the system in play that allows a police officer, not a friggin' doctor, give a person drugs to try to sedate them without knowing their history. Whoever wrote that law, they need to be sued, thrown out of office, and this is the shit. And not for nothing, they protected these cops again. They protected these cops. Get buckets. Pasta, the immediate threat are the police. Until the police are stopped, the movement can't progress. You're blaming the people doing the work for how they're doing it instead of the people on the sideline. I disagree because, once again, these cops are protected by the system. The governor is able to pardon them. The governor's allowed them to get a paid check while they're at home. It's the system above. It has to be brought down together. I'm not denying that the police department is filled with racists, because they are. We need to take care of it all at one time. I just want it to be inclusive, but I don't think it's the time to talk about it after that video, after what we just saw Mr. McClain go through. It is very hard to watch.
And it should be. It should be hard to watch.
And everybody should have to watch it.
Everybody should have to watch it, because then you understand the fucking disparity, the privilege that white serial killers get compared to a fucking black autistic.
Yep.
Real quick, I just want to show this. The Aurora police broke up a peaceful violin vigil that was for held for Elijah McClain.
Can you explain how a vigil is violent to me?
Exactly.
I just want to know.
It was peaceful. It was a peaceful. They're playing violin.
You've got to be kidding me. No!
Well, there you go, folks.
So you understand that these fucking police are fucking thugs.
Oh, all right.
This is why. We have to go after all of it. I agree with Pasta. They're an arm of the oligarchy, but they have to be taken down.
They were sent there by somebody. Who sent them there? The DA,
yeah,
the mayor,
they
the
don't
chief.
Just,
who else? Who
they
sent
receive
them?
orders. That's all they do. We noticed it when we were in West Hollywood, and they were Tina heard them say, "Oh, we're gonna go." Corral these protesters. We're gonna go kettle them. We're gonna do this because. And you ask them who said that. Oh, we were ordered this. We were ordered. They take orders. They're stormtroopers. They just take orders. They don't think. They do them. That's why certain people are chosen to be cops. I would never be chosen to be a cop because I just don't take an order. I think for myself, and so that's what they do, and that is a system above them. They are an arm of the oligarchy of the military-industrial complex. This is why they're so heavily militarized. This is why you saw the military be sent in there. It's all connected. But at the very least, people have the very right to protest, to at least attend a peaceful vigil. And again, mainstream media every single time, which is so unnerving. They come in and they only put the camera on when the protesters are responding to police gassing them, to police throwing rubber bullets at them. That's it.
They
the
like
looting.
to highlight the
They're not
looting.
highlighting the freaking
peaceful
protests like Redfish's when they're playing a violin and then the police come in. That's when things might get violent because you are being attacked for doing nothing. You are literally sitting there honoring the life of this kid who's murdered, and you can't even do that without the police coming in to come after you. Come on. This is out of control right now. It's out of control.
It's funny the way the establishment is jumping on this whole bandwagon of now they're like anti-police, whatnot. Meanwhile, they architect writing the crime bill with Biden.
Oh yeah,
And their police in other countries now. That's when they praise them. They go to them and they start praising them. And yet, what's going on in other countries? Like the videos that we also one of the first videos that me and Johnny said, and you agreed to as well that everybody should watch was that Apache helicopter mowing down journalists. And we didn't see, but in one of those cars there was a 4-year-old girl who got a bullet. And a Marine found her and tried to run her to a hospital, never knowing what happened. And everything was almost cut in half, and a bunch of people were mowed down by bullets this big, whatnot. It's like I say, they practice it over there and they bring it home here. Look at them right now. Did the police officers ever look like this? You would see maybe a SWAT team back in the days, but now every police officer is armed with riot gear and the weaponry behind them.
But they're the ones fearing for their life.
Oh yes. Now on to imperialism, fam, because this is really, really deep because it really just shows you everything. The New York Times is now blaming Russia, and in fact, they're blaming Putin himself, a lot of mainstream media and establishment figures, for American soldiers getting killed from bounties from the Russians, and they're blaming Putin and Russia himself. Unnamed sources, fam, unnamed sources. But let's start off with what is the reaction now. This happens. The New York Times releases a post. Now, fam, it didn't take 20 years of our imperialism being there to give the Mujahideen, and those are the fighters in Afghanistan.
It was
or
Russia
the Taliban.
all along.
Yeah. They needed the incentive from payments from Russia.
Yeah.
20 years in the bombing
from Obama. They waited 20 years.
Yeah. Now they did. So, Chuckles, Schumer's, and once again, this is and this is the thing we got to talk about. Now, it doesn't seem like it's a harsh thing, and people on both sides of the aisle agree that sanctions are okay. They're not. Sanctions affect the poorest of the poor, and they kill children in every country we impose sanctions. Here's Chuckles, fam, your favorite, in New York, talking about what we should do in the next defense budget.
I was not briefed on the Russian military intelligence, but it shows that we need, in this coming defense bill, which we're debating this week, tough sanctions against Russia, which thus far Mitch McConnell has resisted.
You see what I'm saying?
He's such a fucking piece of
shit. This is the left. Well, I'm sorry, it's not the left.
These are the establishment Democrat neoliberals who are just the same as these neocons, except they wear a pony, a unicorn hat, and say that they're for gay rights, and that's it. That's literally all you get. Nothing else is different. They have the same foreign policy. This is exactly why the Democratic establishment, like Joe Biden, is not the answer to beating Donald Trump, because they are what led to the election of Donald Trump. And they are what you're going to get a worse right-winger the next time around if Joe Biden wins the presidency tenfold, because that anger is going to be there. This is why.
Can you imagine if the squad joined those people like Thomas Massey down the right and build a coalition, say, listen, we're not going to give anything on this defense budget. We need to cut it in half. We need to close half our bases. Let's bring this money home for our people. Yep. That's what the squad should be doing, not just being silent and then voting against it here and there.
Even if they are saying something, I don't care how many speeches AOC makes like in Congress when there is nothing legislatively behind it. When you are not letting your 6.8 million Twitter followers know that there's a movement going outside in the streets, you should join it and also protest against sanctions, protest against imperialism, protest for UBI, protest for all these things we need. But they're not doing that. They're not doing that because her career is more important to her than standing with the people.
Yeah. Mount Unit says, why do American people allow themselves to be policed and governed by rabid dogs? Hey, dude, we're using rabid dogs and high military octane all around this world, man.
Americans don't see their power. They are waiting for it to happen legislatively, and that is a very, very slow thing. It's not going to happen until we demand it in the streets. Yep. That is how it's going to happen.
The next one right here, fam, don't worry. All these riots are Donald Trump's fault, and here comes Joe Biden in to save us. His opinions, and watch him reading off of teleprompter. Is that the right one? You got the one?
There you go.
Did they change it? Oh, this is the one.
It's truly shocking revelation that if the Times report is true, I emphasize again, is that President Trump, the commander-in-chief of American troops serving in a dangerous theater of war, has known about this for months, according to the Times, and done worse than nothing.
I just can't take anything Joe Biden says seriously.
Yeah. Okay, never mind then. Pretty much Joe Biden goes on to talk.
Any kind of consequences on Russia for this egregious violation of international law.
See, that was the part I really
wanted
to hit too.
Donald Trump has continued his embarrassing campaign of deference and debasing himself before Vladimir Putin.
There he goes.
He has this information, according to the Times, and yet he offered to host Putin in the United States and sought to invite Russia to rejoin the G7. His entire presidency has been a gift to Putin.
There you go.
But this is beyond the pale.
This is the rhetoric I'm talking about. This is the other country that has as much nuclear weapons as us, fam. The doomsday clock is moving closer, but they still want to stick a wedge. They don't care. They're neocons. They like we said a long time ago, they've Putinized Russia and they demonize Putin. So now it's just this is dangerous times. We're playing chicken with the other guys who have as much nuclear weapons as us, fam.
And the worst part is that the majority of Republicans agree with the neoliberals on this. Yeah. They do. They if, Trump aside, at the end of the day, they are all in agreement for more war. They're pro-war as hell, and all this does is get people to think that Donald Trump is the only villain and get the Democrats to completely avoid any sort of accountability on anything and get you to choose Team A or Team B. Meanwhile, they're the same. Foreign policy-wise, they're the same. There was another candidate named Richie Torres that a lot of people thought was progressive that won in New York, won the primary in New York. Turns out he's a freaking AIPAC, pro-Israel, anti-Palestinian Zionist type of candidate. And there it goes again, progressives, Bernie Kratz, all of you who dismiss foreign policy completely. This is why it matters, because then again, here are tax dollars going to continue this new Cold War with Russia and China, getting us to the doomsday clock while people are being murdered in the United States. We don't have UBI, healthcare, none of that.
None of it. And we spend trillions across seas killing other people.
Yep.
And when you talk about, it's not nuclear war, it's nuclear holocaust, is what Denzel Washington said in the movie Crimson Tide. That's Russia. We can just blow over what we have in the water alone, we can blow this world up 17 times. Not to mention all the nuclear weapons we got on his doorstep. You know, and why would Russia and Putin be upset when NATO has all along the Baltic countries, all a bunch of weapons? And guess what? The United States is amping up to try to get in Belarus. They want to get harder, more weapons on the doorstep. And I just want to point out, it was the New York Times that once lied to us about the Iraq war. They've sold every single war out there. So why should we believe them when they have
any
unnamed
credibility?
sources? Yes.
It is disgusting to me. They like people like Biden name the New York Times like we're supposed to all like bow down to them, not even question what they say. They are propaganda, and they have admitted that they are propaganda for the establishment.
Yep.
That's all they are.
And all the parties in the New York Times accusations say it was fake news. Donald Trump says he was never briefed. Michael Pence said he was never briefed. Ray McGovern said this would never even get up to the president. That's how fugazi the story is, because it's backed by unnamed sources. The Taliban denies it. The Russian administration denies it. All parties there say that this is full of caca. And yet they still want to run with the story. And like the mainstream media, Rachel Maddow almost had a coronary on this with this freak, and she was going crazy. And she did her famous thing: if this is true, that means that Donald Trump is a traitor to the biggest guy. Blah 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 blah. Also, your friend Nance, same disgusting propaganda. We have it in the Senate with Chuck Schumer, Chuckles, Putin, Democrat, in the House of Representatives. Here's Pelosi. Check her out and what she says.
I want to turn now to that rather startling report in the New York Times that appeared yesterday. We're going to show it on the screen right now, that Russia secretly offered Afghan militants bounties to kill U.S. troops. It reports that American intelligence officials have concluded that a Russian military intelligence unit secretly offered bounties to Taliban-linked militants for killing coalition forces in Afghanistan, including targeting American troops. The intelligence finding was briefed to President Trump, and the White House National Security Council discussed the problem at an interagency meeting in late March. Officials developed a menu of potential options along with an escalating series of sanctions, but the White House has yet to authorize any step. Now, the Director of National Intelligence put out a statement late last night denying that the president had been briefed. The president has said that as well, but not denying the intelligence. You're a member of that so-called Gang of Eight that gets intelligence. Were you aware of these reports?
No, and we have called for a report to the Congress on this. This is as bad as it gets. And yet the president will not confront the Russians on this score, denies being briefed, whether he is or not. His administration knows, and our allies some of our allies who will work with us in Afghanistan have been briefed and accept this report. Just as I've said to the president, with him all roads lead to Putin. I don't know what the Russians have on the president politically, personally, financially, or whatever it is, but he wants to ignore. He wants to bring them back into the G8 despite the annexation of Crimea and the invasion of Ukraine, despite what they yielded to him in Syria, despite his intervention into our election, which is well documented by our intelligence community, and despite now possibly this allegation, which we should have been briefed on.
Well, that's what I want to ask you about.
Yeah. I don't want to hear any more of her because she makes me nauseous. But do you see how she's still okaying Syria, Ukraine? She's still okaying the regime change that took place there. She's still standing behind it and blaming Putin. Meanwhile, we went in there, a civil war. You know how many people we killed in Ukraine? You know, we supported and backed white supremacists in Western Ukraine against Eastern, who were just people who were Russian background. We allowed them to get killed because it was a jab at Putin. And same thing with Syria. A civil war one, but we inflamed it. We threw gasoline on it. I mean, it's disgusting.
At least her mask matches her outfit. Yes, queen. She's speaking out against Trump. Yes, queen. Her mask matches. Look how great she looks. Like, that's all. Like, this is the problem with American exceptionalism. This is the problem right here.
Right there.
This is it.
And these people should not be in power anymore. Shahid for change. Malcolm Marzo says, "Thank you for your service from a veteran of the Vietnam War crime." You better believe it.
And by the way,
thank you. We love you, Malcolm.
This Russian narrative right now, and them bringing back the election and all of this crap. This is why Democrats, I think, are still going to lose. This is why nobody buys this shit anymore. Nobody. Guess what? The very, very few centrist Democrats, neoliberals, those people, they eat it up. Older people who watch the mainstream media, okay, they'll eat it up. But the majority of people don't participate in politics because of this kind of bullshit. Oh, we're just going to blame Russia on all of our problems. How many years have we been doing that? How many fucking years?
I remember somebody was saying, oh, it's not like McCarthyism back in the days. They were using Hollywood and all these other things to. I'm like, really? You don't think they're using Hollywood to push their pro-imperialist propaganda? You don't think?
Hollywood is an arm of the establishment.
Oh my
They're propaganda machine. They
Part
are
of the
they
programming.
add to the mainstream media propaganda machine. That's exactly what they do. And Russia didn't give us coronavirus and then leave us to fend for ourselves.
Yes, they did.
Russia didn't give the banks trillions of dollars.
Russia made them.
The corporations trillions of dollars.
Yeah, please.
Russia didn't give us a shit system of healthcare with Obama having both houses of Congress that he couldn't even manage to give us Medicare for all. Russia, okay, isn't killing unarmed people of color right now. Russia isn't the one doing any of this shit. So guess what, Americans, wake the hell up and know who is the real enemy here, and that is the oligarchs right now. The people in charge and power that are trying to push us into a new war.
Oh, yeah.
The CIA, the military-industrial complex, saying these things got you killed. Before.
Jack Ryan, Tom Clancy's original. Okay, now we have a Netflix series where Jack Ryan is going into Venezuela to stop the evil Venezuelan government working with the Russians to build a bomb to bring it up.
Man, I
from
want
South
that
and
evil
Central
government.
America. Yeah, they're going to kill us and blow us up. So
If they
don't
give
tell
me
me that they're
housing.
not putting their own propaganda they are in. Fam, we also have some breaking news. Thank God for the New York Times. The New York Times and the intelligence community has taught us, fam, that after 20 years plus of occupation in Afghanistan, it took the
Hashtag
inspiration
shameless
of the Russians, including Putin, by way of bounties to give Afghan militants the incentive to want to kill U.S.
Nothing
troops.
to do with our invasion. Nothing to do with our treatment. Just
Putin.
Russians.
Putin.
Man.
They weren't going to kill us until Putin.
Or the fact that we bombed them like every day.
Did Russians do COVID, fam?
Yes, they
do
did.
it?
The
Oh
Russians
my
put
God.
homeless
Somehow.
people on the streets.
Oh, yes.
That was China. Oh, yeah. China's the new scare. I have a good friend of mine. We're going to talk about that. Brett Ernst, I love you. We'll talk more about the China scare because I don't think it's China. I think it's the IMF. I think these people who
Did you
control
see
the
that they
monetary system,
found-
the Epsteins and all them up above.
They found traces of COVID in Spain. And Ben Norton reported on that. And that from 2019. Traces in 2019.
We said this shit was man-made.
Where is this? I guess it didn't come from China, maybe. We don't know.
David Bond, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. American Gestapo, paid by the taxpayers to kill taxpayers.
Yeah.
This is war, and if we don't fight back, we lose. You can't protest bullets on the battlefield. Nice.
You gotta fight all of
David Bond, we love you. We also had Elizabeth Warren, fam.
Oh, God.
Warbachar, she's jumping into the mix. President Trump doing absolutely nothing while a Russian spy unit pays the Taliban to kill U.S. soldiers is a profound betrayal of our troops. It's also the definition of a failed commander-in-chief.
Warren for VP.
They don't give a shit. They don't give a damn.
Warren for VP, you guys. That'll solve all our problems.
But the
Yay.
most disgusting propaganda piece was by Vote Vets. Christine Pelosi put this one out. This is a disgusting one, fam.
Well,
it is just
fall
neo-McCarthyism
far
at
from the
its best. Xenophobic put on steroids. Xenophobia put on steroids. Yeah, does the music again?
He shakes his hand. An American dies. They pal around. Another roadside attack. Putin pays bounties to Taliban enemies to kill American soldiers. And not a word from Donald Trump. Intelligence reports on his desk. He says nothing to his Russian master. Takes no action to protect us. Who is the enemy? If you're going to act like a traitor, you don't get to thank us for our service.
It says attacking Trump from the right. What the F?
Yeah.
The Democrats are attacking Trump from
The Democrats
right.
are worse right now on foreign policy than fucking Donald Trump is. And I get more angry because now this isn't even about defending Donald Trump. This is about defending peace. This is about standing against imperialism. That's what this is about. I don't care who does it. The Democrats and Republicans agree on imperialism.
Yep.
That's what you guys have to get through your head. Putting Joe Biden in there might actually be worse for the new Cold War than it might be keeping Donald Trump in there. And that's crazy to say, but I can't even, no, the Democrats are punching from the right here. They
They're
are
terrible.
literally
They're terrible.
worse than Donald Trump.
Okay, fam, if things get bad on the left, what you got to do is you got to go into the bag and get out to somebody who really knows their foreign policy. So CNN, the Clinton News Network from the left, brings on somebody smart like John Bolton, as we know him as Lord Bolton.
But he's peaceful because he called out Trump.
So here he is. Like I said, they're going to run Mitt Romney for president.
Yes. So CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and others are reporting this weekend that an element of the Russian GRU has been offering bounty to terrorists in Afghanistan if they kill coalition troops, including Americans, of course, according to U.S. intelligence agencies. The president just tweeted this morning that he was not briefed about the, quote, so-called attacks. Notably, no condemnation of Russia or a denial of the report of the U.S. intelligence. Do you believe that he's not been briefed? And if this is true, what should the U.S. do?
Well, look, I think first we have to stress there's much we don't know about this. And with all due respect to the highly esteemed news services you mentioned, they get things wrong from time to time. What we do know is the Russians want us out of Afghanistan. They want us out of Syria. They want us out of Iraq. They want us out of a lot of places. And if it is true, underline the word if, that they are paying surrogates to kill Americans, this is one of the most serious matters, I think, that has arisen in the Trump administration. Now, so I asked myself...
We can go on. I don't want to hear more of his bullshit. Yeah. They want us out of Iraq. They want us out of Syria. They want us out of Afghanistan.
So do the American people.
So do we.
Thank you. So do we. Please. I want what the Russians want then, I guess, because I want us out of all these places.
You're a Russian bot fan.
I am. I must be.
This is the left. The left is bringing on John Bolton. It's time to walk away from this party.
The Democratic Party is bringing on John Bolton.
Yes,
the neoliberals. That is not the left. They are a facade that claim to be left. They are right wingers.
I can't disagree.
The rest of the world.
I can't disagree with you.
It's disgusting, and this is what they do to get people to pick. Oh, okay. We have to go with a Democrat. This is worse. This is what they do to get you to promote war. Guess what? They're talking about Donald Trump manipulating people and getting people killed. What did we do during 9/11? What did we do? Can somebody illuminate me? I thought we lied to the American people to get everybody to go to war and be okay with war and demand war. I thought we did that too. And people died.
Yeah. And it was people from Saudi Arabia who threw those. Most of the people who flew those planes into the building from Saudi Arabia.
We gave weapons to Saudi Arabia that turned around and they killed American soldiers. So don't come at me with this whole bullshit story about fucking Russia.
Well, you know what we watched the other day when we watched Malcolm X? Remember when in that sacred city when they were walking around? There are American troops outside there guarding that area for the Saudi Arabians, for Saudi Arabian government. So I think a lot of people who flew those planes into that building were protesting that actual action. But the problem is Saudi Arabians attacked us. We went into Iraq. Saudi Arabia attacked us. We went into Iraq and Afghanistan.
And we fund them.
And we're still there. Yeah.
And we still fund them.
And we help them.
We taught them how to do this stuff.
Slave trade in Libya.
Yeah, another one. I mean, we can go on. And no neoliberal shingding would be complete without our boy Adam Schiff.
Government, which is ruled by the CIA and the military-industrial complex, did this, lied to all of us Americans here domestically, got us to hate a group of people to do it. Literally Muslims. They were terrorized the whole time this happened.
Yes.
People who had nothing to do with these jihadists, with these crazy extreme fundamentalists who we funded, okay? And they turned around and do this whole gaslighting thing, all to promote imperialism.
Yes,
that's all it was. Yeah. It was to get us to agree to it.
Wahhabist Salafists. Mm-hmm. That's the right word. I said caliphates. Caliphates is wrong. Salafists are different. Adam Schiff, and this is the whole method where they say they did something wrong, this is how we need to be punished. Putin did something wrong. If reports are true that Russia offered a bounty on U.S. troops in Afghanistan and Trump was briefed, that's a problem. If he was briefed and still wants Russia back in the G8, it's even worse. So they're telling you what to do. Don't let him back into the G8. How can you? You're a traitor to let him back into G8. This is what they did. We got to impose sanctions on him. We have, you know what I'm saying? They justify their neocon ways. And fam, I'm going to practice this. I'm no longer going to say the left. I'm going to say neoliberal when I'm referring to neoliberals because they're not the left. We even heard from our friend this morning from France. He goes, Bernie Sanders is kind of like center left for us in France and stuff. The left is not the left in America.
Center. He said center.
Yeah, he said center. But and I think all we have to do, fam, is we should just listen to Michael Gravel when it comes to this whole situation. The Gravel Institute, ladies and gentlemen. The best way not to have soldiers killed in Afghanistan is not to have any soldiers in Afghanistan.
That's too difficult for the American military-industrial complex to do. They have to have somebody there.
Terrible, terrible.
So, for the last thing, fams, we are just gonna let you guys know that there have been spikes, obviously, in coronavirus. I believe it's more so because people are getting tested now, and it's coming out that they have it. But apparently that there are spikes enough to where the governors from many states, including Florida and California, are shutting bars down. So now all those people that went out to the bars, I just got my ID back because when I go anywhere, people think I'm 12, so they are like, you like, I can't even order a drink at a restaurant. Anyway, I got my ID stolen and I just got it back. But now they just closed all the bars.
Long story short.
So I was gonna go. No, I'm just kidding. But they closed down all the bars, and I think this means that maybe they might close down the economy again. But guess what they're not doing? They're not giving everybody anything. They're not giving the small businesses more money. They're not giving you $1,200 more.
Your
which
rent
is already
ain't protected.
Your rent isn't protected.
I mean, it's up for grabs. There's some avenues that we can really,
your unemployment's about to run out.
It's about
those
to run out. $600 about to run out. What are you gonna do?
And then giving any sort of UBI. So guess what we should be doing, everybody, is organizing protests against the government for not giving the American people the means to take care of themselves during a pandemic. I mean, hello, we've had a pandemic that's killed thousands of people, and we still don't have health care. Not even for the pandemic.
Yep.
We don't have any form of Medicare for all. They're threatening, all Nancy's doing is yelling at Trump for getting rid of the ACA instead of proposing a Medicare for all system that she's been talking about that she wants since 1989. I mean, get the hell out of here.
Cobra,
we need to demand these things, because if we don't demand them, we're not going to get them. If you're just going to tell Joe Biden, I'm voting blue no matter who, because Donald Trump is so bad. Why would they give you anything if you've already told them you're going to vote for them?
Yep.
It's
you give
the
them the vote.
stupidest thing in the world.
And I want to say thank you to Holly Horn, Glory Jones on our ROKFIN over there. Jude M. You guys are awesome on the ROKFIN. We love you. Fam, I just got an idea. You just talked about Nancy Pelosi, and maybe we should go protest out in front of her house.
I think we should.
I think we should arrange a protest to Nancy Pelosi's house. If you're out there and you want to fly into California, if you don't live here or where you're at, let's go to Nancy Pelosi's house. Enough is enough of this woman, right? You know what I'm saying? Stopping. She's the keeper at the gate of all progressive policies trying to get through. She controls the House. And instead of the squad ruling against her and going against her, they joined her and called her Mama Bear. And shame on you.
And I remember Shahid in one of our previous interviews was telling us why they possibly are doing that. It's because Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, controls special assignments to committees and stuff like that.
She pulls everything.
So
she
she's going to completely
So
screw
they're
them.
afraid. And to give to their credit, they're probably afraid of losing any sort of influence within. But this is why Dementor doesn't work. I just go back to this is why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because they have to do a certain amount of ball playing if they're going to get anything done.
Yes.
So I get it. But at the same time, then what the hell does it matter how many we elect in there if they're going to still hold the reins of power?
Yes,
It has to come from the outside too, you guys.
Somebody said
inside and out.
Somebody said, where's Pelosi's house? It's in Napa. And she says, Pelosi is the reason we didn't get UBI. You better believe it. She's the reason we didn't get UBI. She's the reason we didn't get Medicare for all. More the UBI than anything, but pass the UBI in the House and put it on the table.
I mean,
let the
Rashida
American
had
people
a
see it and say, Trump, now veto it, the UBI in everybody's face.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Trumpers who want a UBI because they don't see a way out of it. There is no back to normal. And Nancy Pelosi's the one squashing this shit. The Democrats. Sorry.
They're just theatrics.
So
They're great actors.
What do you guys think should be demands of a protest that does go to somebody's house like that? Because moving for a People's Party, they're doing it. I feel like UBI,
Medicare
for all. UBI of $2,000 a month. Medicare for all.
Election reform.
You know what I want to do?
Public finance.
And reduce the military budget.
I want to get Fred Hampton Jr. on the show and ask what his dad's demands were, because they laid out a lot of this groundwork. Fam, you're gonna love them because they're pretty much pushing for socialism of communism. They're pushing for workers to own the places. And I understand that that might be a little off for some people, but in its core, it's taking care of the people. They're also very strong in education. Right. So I want to see what their demands were.
People who do the work own a part of the stake of the what they're doing work
Exactly. You get like, you know what I'm saying?
The people that make the vehicle run.
Wouldn't it make you
want
to work
part
for
of the vehicle?
Exactly. And wouldn't you be happier working for a company that you have ownership of a part of, that you believe in what you're selling, you believe in the product, you believe in whatever.
Like Publix managers.
Yeah, and
Publix
Wawa gas stations kind of do that too.
Some of them. The Wawas, yeah.
There are co-ops.
You have to get stocks.
Oh yeah,
well, we were
stock options.
Yeah.
When I was in Iowa, which
it's not a standard thing.
Yeah.
And when I was in Iowa, in the conservative part of Iowa, people didn't call it co-op, but it was grocery stores where they owned. The people who work there own a profit. That is a co-op, but you can call it whatever you want. I don't care what you call it, but that's what it is. And more people, the workers benefit, the people there benefit because they have happier employees who are ready to go and work, and everybody's happy. It's really not a crazy concept.
Yeah, and I think like Bernie Sanders was right with the mentality. He was at least getting to a point where it's like he didn't want the workers to necessarily have the right to automatically own it, but he wanted to push for the government to get people together to have loans to start their own businesses. Right. He wanted to put more power in the hands of the workers. A lot of people think that was a compromise. Yeah, but there's no avenues to get people loans to invest in businesses.
Even that, Pasta.
To really get them there. You know what I'm saying?
Because right now we have nothing.
Yeah. Trey Wright says, I honestly hate this country. There's so many problems to keep track of. My depression hits hard just thinking about everything sometimes. We feel you. We appreciate it. But you know what you do? You get behind shows like the Convo Couch. There's
Stand
so many
up,
things
fight.
And we are standing up and fighting back, you know what I'm saying? And
should we have some happy segments in our show? I think we should.
Yes, that's why I said we needed to talk about the movies.
Yeah.
We need to talk. Well, listen, we should have talked about the movies next time.
This was a very
This was a very hard.
show. It's hard, but it's the conversations we need to have. I'm not saying I'm fucking right, guys. I'm saying I could be wrong. I'm just saying that we need to have some talks and bring some things to the table that can't be ignored anymore. I just don't want to ignore the bombing and the imperialism and everything we cause all around this planet, because I believe it's indicative of what happens at home. And I surely hell don't want to tell people who've suffered that their issues and their reasons are being ignored. I just want to make sure we're all conclusive of it. I see people like Fred Hampton was really bringing that to the table. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we need. So, like I feel James Butler is Malcolm X pre the pilgrimage. So we'll have a Convo Couch pilgrimage. We'll cook them a lot of dinners. We'll talk some imperialism with them, and we'll tie some things together. Who knows? Maybe we can make this grow. I just say this all the time, fam, that, you know what I'm saying, it's going to take people who don't agree with each other coming together. Because once we come together, they're in trouble. They are in trouble once we come together, so we have to find a way.
And realize that our power in numbers, too.
Yes. Johnny, anything else? Oh, yes. Johnny's friends.
Karen and Reed.
Karen and Chad, right?
I said Chad. I like Reed.
I like Darren.
I like Reed.
Karen and Darren.
Karen and Darren. No, Chad. You said there's more Chads than Darrens.
Yeah, well, Chad is like frat boys.
I like Reed.
So are the rich afraid? Because more than white, like I see them being pretty wealthy, right? They have
a mansion. Okay, so a white couple in St. Louis came out of their mansion and pointed guns at Black Lives Matter protests. The protest was in part to demonstrate against St. Louis Mayor Lyda Crewson, providing details of St. Louis residents that advocate defunding the police, something which seen as doxing. Holy shit. Wow. I didn't know she did that. And intentionally puts these people at risk. The protesters were heading toward the mayor's home to protest in front of it when they were confronted by the gun-toting couple. The couple shouted at protesters while people in the march moved the crowd forward, urging participants to ignore them. So...
That's organizers. And most of these organizers are smart and peaceful. They don't want people getting tasseled up.
They don't want people getting hurt.
Most of them are, listen, let me tell you something. You're going to have these splinter groups join off, break off, that were part of the protest to take advantage of it. But the organizers in these protests, and me and Fiorella have been to a bunch of them. And ladies and gentlemen, I just say that I want the message to be bigger, so I want the protest to be whatever. I'm telling you straight up, these protests are peaceful. They're peaceful. It's when the cops get out of hand that things might get awry. Or maybe somebody splitting off in the beginning of these bigger protests trying to take advantage of the situation. It's not the organizers.
So then here's where we see that fucking stark difference again. As someone in the comments said, okay, they're pointing guns at hundreds of people threatening to shoot. And if they were black, they'd be dead. Absolutely. It may be legal to carry a firearm, but it's illegal to point at firearm at anyone without cause. Were they arrested? Nope. So insecure. Some people really think they'll lose everything if they give other people basic human rights.
Yeah,
look how the woman is holding a gun,
Literally.
please. She probably doesn't even know how to shoot it. This is extremely dangerous, and honestly, she might end up shooting herself. So...
So Graham and I were talking yesterday.
They should be arrested. You can point a weapon. You can't point a weapon at people.
Fearful people are really dangerous, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
People who are just acting on fear, because right now we're seeing
half the
gun
cops
sales.
are.
Gun sales go up because people are scared. People don't know how to use these guns. They're going to have these guns because they're scared, because they don't trust the government. They don't trust what could happen. They're seeing all this on the mainstream media painted as anarchy. Oh my God, look at all these crazy mobs of people. They might, get scared, boom, point a gun, shoot somebody they don't mean to kill, whatever. This is how this shit starts, out of fear.
Yep.
That fear is the path to the dark side, as Yoda says.
Driven by the mainstream media and even the local news. The local news kind of sucks sometimes. They can get some really good stories, but there's a car chase going on. This person got shot over here. They put people at edge, and this guy comes out with a gun thinking that, oh my God, everything they say in the news that these people are going to tear down my house. Like, no. We've been to these protests. They're peaceful.
They're not Fiorella,
No.
okay? They're not like if we had 1,000 Fiorellas, they might go after your house. But right now, they're literally telling everybody, be peaceful, be violent. Don't even pay attention to them. Keep going. They don't want these people to get hurt.
In
like
Beverly Hills,
them.
there were people outside that were go out right on from their house. They
Yeah.
were coming out and like cheering on the protest.
Yeah.
There
was a lot of people. And
I saw something where there was somebody who came out with lemonade and started giving to the protesters and shit like that. I mean, that's what we need. And I think there's a lot of people out there like that as well that do and show their love and their solidarity, and we can see it in the streets. So
there were some
we
at
can't
the
ignore that.
Beverly Hills protest. They came out and saw what was happening.
Yeah.
Blah, blah,
They
blah.
were really, really cool. Nestor Gonzalez says, life is hard and real. It's good to keep it real. It sure is, Nestor Gonzalez. Thank you for the Super Chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. And JR 50 Cent says, Russian spy. Someone's talking about you, fam.
I am a Russian spy.
You are a Russian bot. Johnny, anything else before we get on out of here? Nope. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a long show today. Almost 107 minutes, it says. 109 minutes over here. We want to thank you for joining us. If you haven't signed up for your ROKFIN, it is free, ROKFIN. Please go over there. We had 8 people at one point. We need more than that because for the content creators, ROKFIN is one of those people who don't suppress our voices. We're very close with them. It's sort of a co-op, and you can help us out by endorsing us for $9.99 a month. A lot of other people are on there now. I saw somebody said you have to watch The Last Vagabond. Well, he's on ROKFIN too as well, and we watched The Last Vagabond in this house. Well, I do. I love this stuff. It's the foreign policy stuff. He gets some great sources. I love Christian and the Vagabond. I love the Duran when they come up with foreign policy, and I disagree with those guys on a lot of issues, the way they kind of look at things. They are really more conservative than me, and that is for sure, but they do. There are areas of common concern when it comes to foreign policy, and we do need to get on it. Also, our Patreon, we have close to 99. We're coming up on 100. We need to get there. We want to thank all your Patreons. It really helps us out. So we want you to stay tuned for the next upcoming months. We got a lot of things going on. We got a primary in Florida. Chaz Chop is still going on. Who knows? You might see the Convo Couch on the ground over there. For Pasta Jardula,
Fiorella.
Johnny Sue still spinning on those 1s and 2s.
Subscribe to True Rebel Network.
Subscribe to True Rebel Network.
Peace.